We started discussing security groups. So security group is a collection of Workday users that you can link to one or more domains, business process security policies. We looked at an example of HR partner. We looked at the example of HR admin and how we can assign different users to those groups. So we can explicitly add to a group and we can indirectly through relevant information stored about them in Workday, such as role, position, or geographication. We can assign those groups at that level, or we can assign it at the initiate their business process level. So security policies. You link a security group to a domain through the security policy, you specify whether the security group has a view or modifiable access to the domain. Domain is controlled by get or put permission. So when we talk about integration with internal or external systems, or if we want to do bulk load EABs for inbound, we have to give the get or put permissions to that particular security group. You can include secured items in more than one domain security policy. Security groups are also linked to business processes through the business process security policy. So let's have a look at the security groups and domains and how they are related and how they're set up. Functional. So there's a report in the tenant called functional areas. So this will give us a high level overview of the Workday solutions or which functionality they fall in, what domains are included, and which business processes are included in those functional areas, and if they are enabled on your tenant or not. So the first column, we see the Workday solution called Workday Student. Functional area serves as part of academic advising, the description, the status of that solution on your tenant, whether it's enabled or not. So as I said earlier, that in Workday, you can have the required module enabled on your tenant. So it's a modular approach. So the specified modules that you have, you only pay for those modules. The domains that are included in this academic advising are listed here. So all the domains regarding Workday students will be available here. Audit, manage, public, self-service domains, setup domains, and then student data area. And what are the available business processes with this domain? So 3 business processes with Workday Student. So BP academic plan event, BP academic requirement event, override event, and business process change primary academic plan event. The second area is HCM, which is also part of academic faculty. So this HCM is for academia part of the Workday. Now, if I go down, say to advanced compensation, it is also part of HCM, but then it has different domains and it is enabled on this tenant. So all the compensation related management plans, bonus, merit, stock, compensation changes for bonus, merit, stock, then the processes, the setup, the worker data are listed here, and all the business processes related to advanced compensation are listed here. So if you remember, I said earlier, Workday delivers to you all the business processes for each area. They come as a standard bare-bone business process, and then we add the steps, configure the actions, or the steps type that we want to add, assign it to relevant security groups, set up permissions, and we are able to use the business process. So this functional area report is a very good report to give you an idea as to what, if you're looking for specific items in your platform, such as advanced compensation, you can go to your functional area. So Workday solution, Workday payroll for Canada, France, US, UK, core payroll, the included domains, and the business processes. And it is enabled here. Now, if I want to give permissions to a specific domain, for example, core payroll, I can click on the 3 dots and I can click on edit in the functional area. And I can see the policy settings that it's enabled. It included domains are these are the included processes. If I go back to my sheet, I can click on domain policy summary. And here I can see all the permissions that are given for this domain to who. The permissions to run report tasks are assigned to these groups. They have view and modify. The securable actions by integration permissions are given to who has the get and put permissions. So you can get a high-level summary of all the permissions of all the security groups that has access to core payroll functional area and the specific domains. If I need to make changes to this particular domain policy, I can go to the magnifying glass, click on the three buttons. I can go to domain security policy. I can enable or disable it, or I can edit the permissions from here as well. So when I'm assigning permissions to domain childs, like in core compensation, or core payroll, and specific domain is the specific domain is core payroll. I can see the status of the policy, so it's suspended. If I want to see the securable actions in this, I can just click on the two and it'll tell me these are the two actionable areas. Securable reporting items, these are the name of the objects of the report. So the report / task permissions are given to security group implementers, and there are no integration permissions given to anyone. So for example, if I want to give a permission, I can say search for the security group, and I can either give them the get permission, or if I give them the put permission, they'll have permission to both. For the security groups in report or tasks permission, I've given the view permission, or I can give the view and modify permissions. After I press OK, I will get this small error or small alert on the top that your changes have been saved but are not yet in effect. So again, we have to run the activate security policy changes task. Activate pending security policy from this in our new tab. Here, if I try to activate it, let's see, maintain dashboards, domain security policy, edit permissions. And here I have security groups with view access and modify access, view access only. And I have one security group with this, which is given to security admin, which has view and modify both access. Type of access level, I can group it here as well and say I want to give the integration administrator and I want to give them the put permission as well. Okay, I made the changes to the policy. Then I can activate pending security policy changes. There we go. Payroll to comment. Press OK. Select confirm, and that web policy will be activated. Another way to look at the domains is domain security policy for functional areas. So this has been activated. Now from here, I can select the functional areas. Say if I want to select HCM, it will give me the specific functional area for HCM. Say headcount plan HCM, and it'll give it to me in a different format. So it'll give me the areas on the left, and every child policy like access plan type segmented, process headcount plan, reports headcount plan, setup headcount plan. So these are all child policies clubbed under HCM. And with each policy, I can set up permissions, domain security policy, edit permissions, or enable it if it's not enabled. So again, multiple ways of doing this depends on what you're up to. Are you going to go by specific child policies, or you want to get the high level policy, which covers the whole domain, and then you can give and assign permissions accordingly. Security policies, you cannot copy. Even when you create a solution in Sandbox and you migrate it to production through the migration tool, a report or a custom object or even a business process that you need to migrate, you cannot migrate security policies. You have to reapply all the security changes on your production environment again. Make it securable. You cannot migrate security policies or copy security. You can look at permissions of a given area or given policy and replicate it for your other users as well. Like you can see that which users have which permissions.
And who does this in production? What implementation role has access to this in production?
HR administrator and security administrator.
Okay.
But that's how it's set up as default, but it can change from company to company depending on the infrastructure or the team that they have in place. And roles can be assigned to different users. Like in this GMS tenant, this role, the HR admin role, is assigned to Logan McLean, who is the vice president of HR operations.
Okay, got it.
We saw that how we can set up permissions for integrations, like where we could give the get and put permissions. And security groups are linked to business processes, which we already discussed yesterday in details. So inheritance in domain security. So if we are giving permissions on the parent level policy, the inheritance will follow into the child policies as well. But if you give permissions for a specific group or a specific user to a child policy, only that level of child policy and all its inherited policies, if it has any inheritance at the child level, the permissions will be granted at the inheritance level. So we can turn off the inheritance in any child policy by editing the security policy for the child domain. So if you have, say, example, you have given permissions on the parent level security policy, and you have, say, 4 or 5 different child policies, and in one of the policy, you need to give an elevated permission to a user. So it will only affect that single child policy and its inherited policy, not the other child policies under the parent. Payroll interface, I have these policies covered under the payroll interface. Audit payroll interface is a child policy. Self-service payroll interface is a policy itself, child policy, and it has sub-childs as well. So if I'm giving permissions at this level or the payroll interface, say for example, if I'm going to give self-service and make changes here at this level, say edit permissions, this has 1, 2, 3, 4 child policies under it. So if I'm giving permissions here, say employee yourself and pre-employee yourself as view and modify, it will automatically inherit to these child policies, the permissions that I'm giving. But if I go to a specific child policy, say self-service text selection, and the status is saying active inheriting parent permissions. But if I go to domain and edit policies for this particular domain, say I want to give it to okay, for example, I want to give it to employee self excluding CXO, and I press OK. So I am giving this additional security group permissions for this particular child policy, not the parent policy. So my parent policy in this case is self-service payroll interface, and the child policies are these 4 child policies. And as I have not activated my pending security policy, let me do that. So activate. If I go here now and I look at the tax interface, it is now saying edit permissions or use parent permissions, and it has this exclusive employee or security group for view and modify, but I will not see this at the parent level. In parent level, it's only these 2. But if I would have added this on the parent level, all the child policies would have automatically inherited the permissions. So the parent policy in this case is self-service payroll interface, and the payroll interface in parentheses text elections is a child policy. So here you will not see the CXO group or excluding CXO. You will only see it in this child policy only. Make sense? So editing one child policy security doesn't affect the inheritance of any other child policy. So you can go to the specific child policy level and apply security permissions on that level. And if you set it over on the parent level, it will have inheritance to all the child domains if they are enabled. If they're suspended, then of course no changes will happen on that security policy. So users to Workday delivered a custom user-based security group. So assigning users to security and integration system users to integration. For example, if I go to my view security and say I have a group called alternate approvers, I can first see the details, the comments, the context type, constrained or unconstrained. Who are the members of the security group? Joy Banks, Jacqueline, and Logan. And I can see that what operation do they have, view and modify or view only. I can see that there are no get or put options given here. The domain security policy, the policies that are inheriting the permissions. and what functional area they fall under. So those are the domains. Then I can look at the business process permissions as well. So on add additional job in the staffing functional area, these security group has approve enrichment and view all permissions. If I need to add a member to it, I can go to user-based security group and assign users. Say I want to add a person, Yuli Bowles, add it. And Yuli Bowles is now a member of this security group as well. If I go to edit again, go to security group, maintain domain permissions for security group. And here I can give permissions for report/task permissions. Then domain security policy permitting view access. And if I have any integration permissions I want to give, so say HR administrator, I want to give these two groups for putting the integration access. And it has pending changes, so I need to activate the security policy for this change that I just made to make it happen. Another type of security group says derive security group from group membership. So if you need organization specific security access, you can create the organization roles and role-based security groups. So what are the role-based security groups? So if I go to Logan supervisory organization, I have a tab here called roles. So these, the assignable roles are the role names that are created in the system by us based on our company policies. So roles are somewhat equivalent to responsibilities in a given company. HR partner is a responsibility. Benefit administrator is a responsibility. HR administrator is a security group, but it's not a responsibility. Compensation partner is a responsibility. Department head, budget owner, these are responsibilities. See the groups that are available. Again, I go to my view security group. Say I can go to role-based, conditional role-based security group constraint. Then I have all these roles that are specified to each organization. Say I open HR partner. And here, this is the role-based security group constraint. As we discussed earlier, constraint means that it's specified to or assigned to a specific supervisory organization. And then we can give access rights to organizations based on which level do we want to give, and access rights to multiple job work. And here we can see all the permissions for this role. So view and view and modify, the pre-hire skills and experience. It's part of the talent core functional area. View and modify pre-hired name and contact information. These are the two child policies under this domain security policy, and the functional area is pre-hire. This is an integration permission, get and put, the domain security policy, and the child policy is part of functional area that they are assigned. Now, when I create this group, I have to assign it to a role, and it is an asterisk mark. So it is critical that I have to assign a role. So how do we create this role names? So for that, the task is maintain assignable. So here, it'll give me the list of all the role names that are created in this tenant. If I need to amend or edit one of the existing roles, I can do that. Or if I need to add, I want to give it on the supervisory level. So which level do I want to issue or assign this roles at? So I can select enabled for. I can have more than one values here. And whether it's a supporting role or is it a leader role or none of the above. It's a support role. So if I need to put any restrictions, I can do that. If I need to say show inheritance and security groups, I can do that. And who can assign this? Generally, it's security admin. It's a security group who can assign these roles. On the last two columns, where it is being used or how many times it has been used or which areas it is being used in, how many areas, what is the role-based security group behind this role. So 1099 analyst is the security group that is being used for this role name. I would like to reorder a few things and maybe amend a few in your understanding. So domain for functional areas or functional areas and domains are the highest level of order. Let's put it this way. In those functional areas, you have security policies for different functional areas. For each child master policy or child policy or the domain policy, you assign permissions for view or get for integrations, and view and modify, get input for integrations, and view and modify for UI access. You give those permissions
So
to those security groups. If you need this security group, you can have multiple type of security groups. You can have role-based or you can have user-based, and then constrained or unconstrained. Constrained are specific for supervisory organization. Unconstrained are for the entire organization structure. If it's role-based, if it's user-based, if it's constrained, it is only going to be given for a specified supervisory organization, constrained to that supervisory organization. If it's unconstrained, then it's for the entire tenant, entire population. By supervisory organization, I mean the HR services department is a supervisory organization. The manager for the supervisory organization is, say here, if I go to owner. So this is the owner of this organization. Logan McNeil is the owner of this organization.
okay.
Logan McNeil is also the manager of this organization. It has been assigned the role of manager to this, right? And under the role, there's a security group behind it. So if I open manager role, for example, so it has these 5 security groups behind this role with different permissions. So manager is constrained, primary manager, management chain, and LIC role based. And if I look at this manager role, which organization has it been assigned to and who has it been assigned to, will list it there. Role, but behind that role, you can have multiple security groups.
So like for example, I have a human resource is my supervisory organization. So
Right.
like underneath Logan McNeil as a owner.
Manager roles are assigned to positions. Position can be held by one worker only,
Okay.
but that person can change. In due course of time, that person can move to a different department, somebody else find to place that position, then that position permissions or the roles will remain intact. So whoever is the new person that is now filling up that position or occupying that position will automatically be assigned that role.
3 person we can hire to that position, correct?
No, you
Li-
can only hire one person to a given position.
So if I want like a 3 different people need for that position, like I have to create like a 3 different position.
You have to have 3 different positions, and then you need to have 3 different roles, like manager 1, manager 2, manager 3, or primary manager, alternate manager, and a backup position. Yes, every worker in position management or position based supervisory organization with position management enabled, every single worker will have a unique position. You cannot have
O-
more than one person on a given position. The single position can be attached to the 3 divisions to specific user. For example, in this supervisory organization, say HR services department, then I have benefits department, then I have recruiting departments or 3 divisions, as you said. If I look at the roles for this, the manager role is with Logan McNeil for HR services department. Again, if I look at this recruiting department, Logan McNeil is also the manager for this recruiting department. For benefits department, let's see who is the manager. Role will be the same, but the positions will be separate. 2 different employees will be separate. Say, let's go to assign roles. And here for the manager, I have Logan and Maria.
Mm-hmm.
So I've assigned it to 2 different people. Say owner, say another role. So the role will remain one, but you can have it assigned to more than one positions within the company. If it's position-based staffing management, yeah, the worker can be transferred, promoted, or hired into that position. And that position could have been held by somebody else before, or it could be a brand new position. So either it's a vacated position or it's a brand new. That can be covered under matrix organization.
Or
Yes. So
Mhm,
we will cover matrix organization down in the chapters.
mhm,
But when you have more than one managers or
mhm,
more than one assignment, for the manager who you would be reporting to needs to have a matrix organization created. Just like we create supervisory organization, we create matrix organization, assign a manager to that matrix organization, like who is going to be manager for that, and then add employees to that matrix organization. I don't think we can specify percentages in the tenant. We are talking about supervisory organizations currently. When we want to look at the supervisory org structure, the setup to do this, to have more than one manager, with your primary supervisory organization being your 80% or whatever percentage you want to set up, be your primary manager. So all your reviews, your payroll approvals, your absence approvals, all these things will go to your primary manager. But when it's split and you have more than one manager, so under those managers, we create a matrix organization and we will assign you to that manager's matrix organization. So it could be more than one manager, one, two, three, four, how many it is. Now the split of percentage, as far as org structure is concerned, the matrix organization setup is going to address your question. Now, what do you need the percentage split for? For your employee review at the end of the year, that you were working 80% with one employee, one manager, 10% with another, 5% with the third manager. So your percentage split is basically goals and KPIs that you need to deliver for different managers, correct? I'm coming along. So first thing is your employee review. At the end of the year, how will be you be evaluated on your split of percentage, and those three different managers can review your three different set of goals or
Mhm.
KPIs you may have with each manager, and it will be reflected in your system. You will be covered by three managers. In payroll, you can have a separate pay group or like a pay plan attached to you where you can set up your matrix organization salary structure. Have more than one pay plan assigned to you. You will have your primary salary pay plan, and then you could have additional pay plans for your matrix organization. And in the pay plan, you can set up the percentage of the salaries if need be. It is not going to be part of our course to discuss in detail how do we set up those extensive or customized, but we are going to see how the pay plans are set up and how they work and how they're assigned to the workers. So the solution to your question would be, the matrix organization for supervisory organization management, compensation review for your reviews towards the end of the year. It can be done by more than one manager when you're part of matrix organization. And the third part comes out to be payouts. And for that, you can have more than one pay plan assigned to you. For example, if I look at Logan, so if I go to compensation, and here you can see the plan types that has been assigned. Because she's on a salary plan, it is coming from one source. But say if you're on an hourly plan, you can have, say, plan type uh, hourly and another plan type hourly matrix. And you can set up that matrix plan type based on the percentages you're working for the supervisory organization, and it can be configured and developed in that sense. That's a good question. I'll need to do some research on that because I don't work on advanced compensation directly. So I will have to talk to my colleagues and find out how that can be done. If I keep the same approach, I can say have three different hourly plans. If the employee is working, say, 80% with his primary organization, that'll be covered under his hourly plan, and 20% to a different supervisory organization or different manager. So I can have a 40-hour plan a week or say 36-hour plan a week, and maybe I can have a 2-hour plan a week. So that person will be assigned two salary plans or more than two hourly plans. The plan will be of fixed value. And if you have, say, a 30-hour plan, a 5-hour plan, and a 5-hour plan, 70-hour plan, 15-hour plan, and a 5-hour plan. So, you'll have your 100% hours covered, but it'll be split into three different plans. So we've discussed how we can assign the role-based group, how we create the role-based group, how we assign it to a role, how do we create a role, and how do we assign the role to a supervisory organization. We can also have location-based security groups as well. So for example, if you want to have, say, for example, we are creating a location for New Jersey, and anybody in New Jersey would be assigned Any supervisory organization that are located in New Jersey, Logan or Yulee Bowles would be assigned the manager for all the supervisors in New Jersey. So I can create a security group location based and assign it to the location that any supervisory organization that is created for New Jersey, Yulee Bowles will be the default manager for that organization. So if I go to create security, so I have many types of security group, but say location-based membership group, management level-based, say manager level-based security group, role-based security group, constrained and unconstrained. Constrained are for specific organization, unconstrained is for tenant-wide. Then we have user-based security group. And we can create these security groups and then assign either locations or roles, or if it's a user base, we can create a group, give it permission, then assign it to specific users. So we've already done this part. So assign security group to a policy. So we've gone to a parent policy, we've gone to a child policy, we have edited the domain security policy, we have assigned users or security groups to those policies. And after applying those users to the policy, we have activated our pending security policies. What is a security group? A definition of that is a security group is a collection of users to whom you can grant access to Workday. You can group users directly by using Workday delivered or custom-based security groups, by delivering group membership from other relevant users, information such as role assignment, job profile, or organization membership. By this, what they mean is, or what we mean is, say, if I go to view, say I want to go to HR administrator, and I can use this as a basis of my new security group. So I can go to the related action button, go to tenant security group and make a copy of this. Operation, either I can maintain or I can make a copy. So if I make a copy, I can either use a security group to assign all the permissions from the source group or create a new security group. And if I select copy user assignments, all the users in that security group will be assigned to the new group as well. So I don't want to do copy user assignment. So with this, it will copy all the domain security policies and functional areas with the access levels that is already there for domain security policy permissions, as well as business security policy permission. And say I can call it ZT HR administrator, all the domain security policies. So if I need to remove, say, one of the areas or multiple areas out of this, I can just select one of the checkboxes, uncheck it. Say, I don't want to have audit contact information, or I don't want to give them commissions information, or I want to remove get input permissions for core compensation, worker data, insurance, calculated coverage. So I can make changes to the permissions and I press OK. And my new security group will be created without any members, by the way, because we said we don't want to copy the user assignments. So if I select for ZT, HR, unconstrained, but it doesn't have any users. I don't have any users assigned to it. It will not transfer. It will copy the user assignment, a new security group. So user can be present in more than one security group, and they could be overlapping as well. Assigned to users, and now my security group is created and assigned to two different users. We did discuss a little bit about context type, that constrained and unconstrained. So constrained are constrained to a supervisory organization only. When we start creating a security group, so you'll have options if it's role-based, if it's user-based, if it's organization-based, if it's location-based. You would have the option of constrained and unconstrained. Constrained are for specific supervisory organization, and unconstrained, like a user-based group, is unconstrained and it is across the entire tenant. So report on the securable item. If you need to run reports on a specific securable items, you can do that by going to, say, view security for securable item. And here I can do a free text or a lookup, say, for example, contact information. So here for contact information securable item, I can see all the tasks that are related to contact information in each and every functional area. I can view the security for that particular given task. I can see For the contact information, what are the report tasks, in which functional area it resides in, what's the security, the report fields that are covered under the securable item of contact information, and I can look at all the fields that are available, the data source filter, the data sources, and so on. So if you need to check or verify something for a single item that comes to your mind that, okay, I need to check for, say, contact information or benefits or say emergency contacts, or for example, you would like to see the dependence information. You would be able to see all the tasks that are related to it, the reports, the report fields, the data sources, and service operations. So this is a good tool for you uh, if you're trying to set up a security or evaluate a security for a given worker or a given area, not a worker, but an area. You can search for it from view security for securable items. And for example, if I would like to delete my dependent, what is the security for this? So it'll tell me the functional areas, security groups that have access to it, the dependent event, and if there are any restrictions here or not. If I want to view it for a specific account as whether that person has access to it, so delete my dependent account, say I search for Logan and say show details. So it'll give me the dependent event, view policy, employee self, and self-service group. If you need to do a security analysis for an item, securable item, you can do it this way. Securable is another report, say securable items, say benefits. Oh, this is actually what we run security for. So view security for securable item, we just saw this contact information. And the second type of report or second report is I can do it by account, say contact, change contact information, and Logan. So Logan does not have access to this securable item. That is correct. That's what the securable item showed. We just ran this report, selected securable item from the domain items prompt, view security, securable item. Say the securable item can be the contact information. And here we say that select a securable item from the domain items prompt. A domain security tab is displayed if the secured item is secured through a domain security policy. So here's the policy name, contact information and implementation, and click an entry to view detailed information about that object or the user-related actions we need to perform on that object. If I need to perform a activity here in functional areas, I can view the domain security policies, the business process policies, and I can look at the summary as well. Or I can click on the view security and it'll give me access to the security for this particular item. Here, for specific domains, I can edit the security policy permissions, or I can view the security policy. Oh, this is the security group, sorry. So this is the domain policy. So security policies, the report can be, for this is action summary for security group. So you have access to this presentation. Do look at these reports for these specific areas. So there's a list that we have populated. So do use these reports, and if you have any questions, do let me know. They are in the slide pack that is shared with you. For users, there are separate reports as well. For example, worker role audit or roles for organization and subordinate. Say, if I want to run the report for active employee, it can give me all the information about the user management level. So when I run this report, I'll have the employee ID, hire date, the email address, legal name, cost center, location, business title, management level. And this will give me the entire population within my tenant. Say 465 employees active. Similarly, you can have a report for worker change history report for user job profile changes, user security group, so we can use view security group for user, access permission, security analysis for Workday account, user access for an action, security analysis for an action. So if you want to check the worker role assignments, you can run the report role assignments for worker position. Let's run that. And I can have the entire report for Logan McNeil's assignable roles, where they're enabled, assigned from, security groups, access rights, and if it's active or inactive. So workers by job profile or directory by job family or job catalog. So let's look at by directory by job profile. Say I want to see collections manager and my workstation support and say HR manager. So my three job profiles is in use by 5 people. Martin, Deborah, Fumi, Ashton, and Helen. Which organizations they are part of, what's the worker details. So some terminologies. What is an assignable role for security? Like security terminologies. So assignable role positions you can assign to an organization roles or responsibility. Business security policy, the steps and process by it actions including view, rescind, cancel, and correct. Domain is a collection of related securable items such as action, report data sources, or custom report fields. Domain security is a collection of related securable elements of different types of user-specified security groups that have access to elements of each type. Functional areas, a collection of domains or business processes, security policies that are related to the same set of product features. Securable item is an action, report, or data that is part of a security policy. And again, security group, a collection of users or objects that are related to a given. For example, there is some confidential data in your company that are governed by the personal data safety regulations within your country, and you need to do data masking. For example, you have a social security number for a given worker, national ID number, which is not public information, and it is available in your tenant, and you need to mask it with say asterisks or hash or blanks and only show say a few digits, the first and last digit or something like that. You can do data masking in Workday for your reports or for your data. So data masking substitutes dummy values for the active values to hide data from Workday users. Data masking automatically enables for the Workday support account. So whenever you open a ticket with Workday support, you have to share your data or share your report with WD-support account, add as a user. So when you come around to reports, we'll look more into the details for this. So Workday enables you to mask identity theft protection data in your tenant. You can mask data by user and also mask files uploaded before a selected time. You can use the data masking feature in your sandbox or production tenant, but because this feature doesn't allow updating or changes after you have enabled the mask, use it with caution when enabling in production. Can you please define globally? Like by global, do you mean the different type of tenants?
Globally in the sense like for entire population of in my organization.
I believe he says entire database.
Entire database.
So you need to have masking done on the entire database, or well, there is no database, entire objects.
No, yeah.
For which business object? You can do data masking for specific business objects. Right. So you, if you want to mask, say, let's say, take example of social security number, you can mask a social security number that it is only visible to specific security groups, and the rest of the groups would be, for them, it will be data masking enabled. So HR admin or, benefits administrator or HR recruiters or HR partners may have access to the social security number, or the tax people may have access to it, or the benefits people may have access, but the rest of the organization, it would be masked. So yes, you can do that, but you have to do masking on specific business objects. So what areas cannot be masked? So when you're printing, say, your birth letters or your letters that you print at a given event in your company, like for example, an annual review happened and would like to mask the output of the letters, you cannot mask that. You cannot mask integrations. You cannot do masking on scheduled reports. You cannot mask my reports within your, you cannot access the documents in my reports. My reports is only for you, so you cannot mask that. Solutions is when you migrate from sandbox to production are the solutions. So you cannot do masking on solutions as well. But once you have migrated the solution to production, then you can do the masking on the specific business object. So data masking you can do on outbound data. So the report shown in the user interface, like we ran a few reports currently, you can do masking on those reports as well for specific information. Exported report data. So if you're exporting data into Excel or PDF, you can have masking enabled for that as well. Integration outputs. So when you can create the core connectors or the APIs, you can do masking on that level as well.